Carina Guo is a junior at Richard Montgomery High School in Maryland. Along with her partner, Jennifer Lean, Carina recently won first place, the NSDA's Public Forum National Championship. Welcome, Carina.
Thanks for having me.
This is kind of a generic question, but I think a good place to start. You just won the Public Forum Nationals. Tell me about this experience, being on stage and winning.
Right, well, I think it was definitely a very nerve-wracking and new experience. We have never hit 15 judges before, and the 15 judges were also all in the Zoom, so you could see all of their faces. So it's like you're speaking to a crowd, and I guess that in some ways Zoom makes you used to that because you know there are people watching, but actually seeing all of the reactions there, and while you debate, you need to gauge their reactions for some parts. So it was a lot, but I think that it was really cool. For me, the thing that debate does is that it gets my blood pumping, it gets my adrenaline up there. So it definitely helped with that to be in such a big stage. But as I always go into every round, I always just say no matter who you're debating, no matter the circumstances, you do your best. I always tell also like the novice debaters at my school that any opponent is beatable as long as you just try your best and stay true to like what you know. So that was my general take going into the finals round.
That is very inspirational. Just try your best. For some reason, I imagine, national champion debaters to be much more like cutthroat killers. Like you need to win this round at all costs.
Oh, Jen and I definitely were with that mindset in our earlier years of debate. So you would see us actually get upset over tournament results. And of course, yes, sometimes we still hit with the disappointment, but especially this year, and I think maybe the transition online helped with this, but I've basically lost nearly all the pressure that I once had on me because I just realized that that pressure was not helping as much as like my individual commitment had done. So initially that pressure helped me create that commitment, but I learned to be able to commit without needing the pressure with it. So it's just like when we went into Nats, we definitely did not expect to go that far. And I think we were in round 12 or 13 or something. And Jen and I were calling and she was like, Karina, we could actually do this, like if we really try. And we were like, yeah, because so far till then we're just like just survive, keep on debating, keep on doing what you know.
Yeah, very interesting. Is it different? I mean, obviously it's a way different debating on Zoom, but does that impact that kind of level of nervousness at all? Because you are saying you see everyone, and I guess it's kind of like, in an in-person tournament, you'd know the judges are there, but you wouldn't maybe see their face so like, so up close and all of their minute reactions.
That is true. I think that for me it does make it a little bit easier, but at the
Mm.
same time it wasn't altogether that hard in the first place. I always get nervous in rounds, especially out rounds, so like I will be shaking and I even do calligraphy sometimes in rounds because I need to calm down my hand or else I literally cannot write for the debate. So, yeah, it is better, but at the same time there are a host of other issues like technical audio issues, video issues, internet. So I think it cancels out.
I see. Cool. So you said that you've been able to kind of control your nervousness a little bit. I mean, more recently, right? Or maybe you're that competitive edge, right? If not like all of the nerves, right? All of the stage fight or anything. But do you feel like being able to calm down has made you better at debate, or is it just not helpful? Being too worked up about the results.
I think it is very important. I wouldn't say it's the only thing that helped because just in general, like I said, it has to do with your effort and commitment and also just experience. Like we have gone through high school courses now at this point that we didn't at freshman year, such as economics, which has been really helpful. So it's not the only factor, but I definitely think it's very important because the more that you get stressed about rounds, and Jen and I used to lose a lot in earlier out rounds and not really get as far, and this year we didn't hit that issue as often. So I think it really is associated with just doing your best at a tournament. It is fine. And personally for me, even if I don't show it exactly that much outwardly, if I'm nervous internally, I feel like everything is going haywire. So it's really important for me to like calm down before I give a speech. Otherwise I'll probably start rambling or my word economy will just get really bad. I might miss points. So yeah.
Do you feel like other really top level debaters that you've hit have like kind of a similar mindset, or are different teams and different people in different places?
You mean mindset as in the
As in
go?
like getting really, really upset about the results of like every round,
Oh,
or being really
well,
invested in that. Because you
I've
seem
had
very
some.
zen about the whole thing.
Yeah, I am very zen. Like, I think my whole team knows this by now. I'm always just the it is what it is girl. So I've always been saying that in tournaments. They started counting sometimes. But I've hit a variety of debaters. I've seen, like, one of my closest friends I met in debate. He, at this point, is like just it is what it is mindset also. So that's probably why he and I are such good friends. But I've also seen debaters who end up being upset over runs. And of course, I'm not one to judge because I also had the same experiences in the past. I just think that generally, if the debate community becomes more zen, as you put it, then we can be like a lot more interactive, less like argumentative, less yelling in round, which happens a lot. And yeah, I just think it'd be really helpful.
That is inspirational. I think we can call the interview there. That's the sound bites that we need. We're finished. Just an audio thing. Do you have like a lapel mic on or something? It's making like a little bit of background noise.
Oh, yeah, let me check my
Okay.
noise.
Sounds like something's bumping just a little bit.
Oh, that honestly might be my air conditioning.
Oh, cool.
Because it
Okay,
goes
cool.
straight on the speaker. If I lower this down, that might help a little bit, but I
Okay.
don't know if that will
I think I think
stifle
you're
the.
right. I think you're
Okay.
probably right. All right. So next question. This is going back. Another generic question, but I think also an interesting one. How did you like start doing debate, and like what's, in brief, what's your kind of journey been like? Have you done other styles before, or are you like all PF?
I've done club very, very briefly, and I think it was honestly maybe only one tournament, so it's basically just PF. And then as for my start in debate, not gonna lie, my parents put me in it. I actually had like a reflecting moment with them the other day, and they were like, Karina, do you remember your first day of debate? And I was like, I remember the topic, but no, what happened? And they're like, you came back in the car and you were like, I don't want to continue. So I
Ah,
can't say that it was an immediate click moment, but I've always been a pretty outspoken person growing up. So that's why my parents were like, let's channel this into something useful so that she's not arguing with us all the time. And I think it worked. I think I've learned how to actually have more constructive discussions. But yeah, I think I started liking it maybe on the second or third class. So it wasn't like I hated it either. I think I was outspoken, but also not in a public sense. I don't know if that makes
hmm,
sense. But yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly how I was. So I had to get past the public speaking barrier because I've just been speaking before then.
Yeah, and it is like, even, I mean, it's something that you get really involved in, any kind of like activity or hobby you get really involved in. There's also downsides to it, right? And there might come points where you feel like we're actually do quit for many reasons, right? Where
Oh,
you
I
might like
did,
want to hang
yes.
out with your friends, or you might enjoy kind of the debate, but there's like it's just so much time and you're like losing sleep or something. So it makes
Yes.
sense that at some points you can be frustrated about it.
Mhm.
Tell me about your partner. How did you guys meet?
Oh,
And
so
have you been partners for a long time together?
yeah, yeah. So for the vast, vast majority of high school, minus one topic, Jen was my partner, and I think I'm trying to remember how we ended up partners. Going into high school, because we started in freshman year, or we met each other in freshman year, there were four students who were mainly interested in doing debate and I think had some experience with it before high school as well. And so it happened naturally because a lot of our parents also talked and then we also talked and then just like, oh, do you want to be partners? Sure. And we also viewed it as like an experimentation stage, but Jen and I just clicked. So we were like, okay, we'll stay with this. We like it. So yeah.
That's really cool. So it kind of just happened organically, naturally. You weren't like taking surveys of all of the debaters in the
No,
town. All
no,
right,
no.
cool, cool, cool. Um, I sent you some of these questions before. I'm gonna skip the next one because that very much answers it. Let's go on to talk about your coach.
Mhm.
Um, you're gonna have to help me with her name.
Of course. Rachel Carter and
Yes.
Elisa Chen Sukubo. So Is there a question or this, or should I just talk about it?
Oh, I wanted to talk about like Alyssa first, Alyssa Chen Sugabuk from Potomac Debate Academy.
Yeah.
So I did like a little bit of Googling about her, and I honestly feel like we could have an entire interview just talking about her. That's it.
Yes.
She
Yes.
has one of the, if not probably the most impressive resume I've ever read in the debate world, in the world of high school debate. Particularly that she does individual coaching, but she has like a master's in education from UPenn, and her students are just like have an incredible winning record. She's like very in demand because this is her thing. She really
Yeah.
feels like a goddess of this craft.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely.
so her and also Rachel Carter, who I might be equally impressive. I just found much less impressive things about her. Yeah, tell me about them and tell me about working with them.
Yeah, so Elisa is our coach of Potomac Debate, as you mentioned, and well, Potomac Debate Academy is really where we've learned and become debaters and grown as that. So Elisa honestly is such a leader figure and such an inspirational role model for all of us, especially as a woman in debate. So she's taught us the basics before, she's walked through topics, gone to tournaments with us, and so now we also have other coaches that will help us, but to me, I think Elisa is the one that's at the top who's helping manage us. And there's a lot of kids, a lot of rowdiness, as shown by our debate sessions. Definitely a lot of rowdiness. But overall, I think we really, really would not be here without her help. She also helps us sort out a lot of the regulatory things that are associated with debate that we just had to lean into because in the beginning, it was just so much. There was so much unknown things and communicating between tab room, NSDA, etc. And then also for Miss Carter, who she became our sponsor in Richard Montgomery High School because we have to debate under our high school. And she has helped us be our sponsor for this year because we had to switch. And honestly, she's really, really helpful too because she helps us communicate with the school to get to tournaments and get the permission forms, as well as get all of our necessary funds like transferred into NSDA, etc.
Amazing. Next time I talk to you, I definitely want to talk more about her. But I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure what to. Maybe I should just talk to her next. Maybe that would really really be
Yeah,
what to do.
honestly.
Zooming out from debate a little bit, what else are you into? Obviously, debate is like one big hobby of yours, but I assume it's not the only one.
Yeah, definitely not. I think debate is still my number one though, but there are a couple of other things I do. I'm the captain of the math team in my school, as well as captain of computer team. I'm in DECA, and I think it's like really aligned with debate. Jen's also my partner in DECA. It's really great because we
Hmm.
do the role plays, and we already have that partner synergy, so we just make eye contact. We know what's going to happen. It's very helpful. So I think those are my main four. I'm part of the SGA with executive board, but with less of like the speaking sense. I like doing coding projects for them instead. Aside from that, like just my personal interests that I've detracted from the competitiveness, I really love music. I play piano and have for a very long time, and I also sing. I run every day now, actually. I started that in quarantine, and July is my 10th month straight, so I am going strong with this.
That's amazing. How do you fit all of this into? You're a student also, yes?
Yes, yes, I'm a student.
You have classes. How do you have time for all of these things?
Well, online school definitely helped, but I just try my best to keep a good sleep schedule that didn't exist in elementary and middle school. But my goal, and sometimes I hit it, is just like 11 to 7 hours. And I'm a morning person that can get a lot done in the morning, including like things like my runs. But I think just most importantly is just like keeping track of a schedule because I also started writing them out on documents and it helps so much because beforehand it was just like, oh, I need to get these things done, but it's really easy to lose track. So actually having the schedule, but also like being flexible to the extent that if you miss something, it's like it's no big deal. I went through a period where I missed something and I would start freaking out that everything else would not work. But I think I've hit a pretty good middle ground of just writing out what you need to do, generally when you need to do it, and then just getting it done, and then you'll be there.
That sounds so simple. I don't think
It's
anyone can actually do
easier
that
said
though.
than done. It's easier said than done, but well, obviously another aspect is you have to be interested in the activities that you do, and I really do love the other ones that I do.
And I think a lot of people, well, for me anyway, but I think it's a common issue. Just have like little focus, like if it's possible to do something that's more like on the lazy side, like a lot of people do it, like whether it may be like the people that you know are like this or not. I really get the feeling this is for many people. They could have a plan, they could have an idea, they could have a schedule, but they're not going to actually get up in the morning and do that if they have the chance to avoid it, right?
In a
So
way, I feel like I might have gaslit myself into doing things, but generally it was more like a much toned down version of that. It was more like if I didn't do something, then I would have a self reflection moment where I'd be like, Karina, why didn't you do it? How can we fix this? And honestly, it works. Like, it's just having a friendly relationship with yourself too. And maybe I sound like I'm going into Zen mode again, but having a friendly relationship with yourself is really important to do literally everything in life that I've learned.
that's so cool. That's so cool. I really feel like you should be an inspirational speaker.
Oh dear.
Um, tell me about Paper Bridges.
Oh, yes, yes. So I am one of the
The
Maryland.
hobbies you listed were half of your hobbies, but this is
Ah,
one I think.
you did your research indeed. So, yes, I am in Paper Bridges. It's a really, really cool nonprofit organization, and it started off as just sending pen pal letters to orphans in lower income countries from America. It could be students, adults, but then it's expanded since then. So, especially in COVID, there was a fundraiser for masks, and the organization acquired 100,000, yeah, 100,000. But also because of shipping, we did end up helping a lot of foster care homes within the United States. So personally, I helped get a few hundred books for them, and then we also have fundraisers within our Maryland chapter. So yeah, I am Maryland State President of that, along with Andy Wang, who is also really cool, and it's really, really good learning experience too, because when you make a letter and then you see that maybe a few weeks later, it depends, you see it in the hands of a child who's smiling so happily, it just honestly changes a lot. And it's one of those like cliche tropes a lot of people talk about, like you help somebody and then you feel that within you. And I did go through like that. It's this cliche moment, but then I realized, oh, who cares? Because it's real and I feel it. So it definitely did change my perspective a lot of things in life.
Hmm. I have this intuition that I want to share with you and just get your feedback on it. Um, so okay, so we have debate, right? And we have like many different styles, right? And there's maybe these US styles and even and then there's sort of different popularities of the debate. One thing that I feel that's missing from debate is a practical aspect to it, and I don't know if that's if we need some of kind of a practical aspect, and if we do, if that would be better, how to implement that, you know. And I don't, so in other words, I don't know if it's a real issue, right? Like this issue that I see with debate, I don't know if it's an actual issue, but I get the feeling that okay, we have all of these students essentially learning about and debating about policy that they will never have any direct interaction with, right? Maybe they get good, maybe they get informed, okay, and then what is the practical result in the world, right? Um, Voting, perhaps, right? I mean, perhaps some local action, maybe, but maybe not, right? Maybe there's not a whole lot of effects. And if the biggest effect to all of the time and energy and money spent on debate is a little bit of an increased voting quality, I don't feel like that's enough, like I feel like a debate utopia would involve some kind of something like fundraising or some kind of like implementable policy action along with the plans that you create or the kind of the arguments that you make. does
Oh, I
this
see.
ring does this ring any bells with you, or am I crazy?
I think it is an issue in some aspects, but I also think it's a mitigated issue because I do personally know a lot of students who went into poli sci or debaters who, even in high school, ended up going to the Congress floor also. So I think that generally you do have at least some sorts, excuse me, of way of connecting to the real legislative process. But also just on the idea of like informed voting, even if it's not voting necessarily, I think just having an educated society would help a lot because, a lot of misunderstandings. We just came from like the social media and democracy topic, so there were a lot of talks of polarization and actually just getting out and learning how to compromise, learning how to voice your opinion, I think is fundamentally a very important thing as like a member of a democracy or just a society in general. So I still think it's important. I agree with you about the fundraising, but also, for instance, debate has created the platform with which nonprofits can rise, like Beyond Resolved, which I'm also part of. And they do fundraisers, they do panels, and they're using their skills that they know in order to not just help like within the debate aspect, but also help with, like, for instance, education resource disparities as a whole.
Yeah, you are really correct that like a lot of debaters do go into other things, and it's maybe obvious, but there can be any number of formal connections, right? So if you do debate and you learn the skills of debate, that doesn't like necessitate or preclude anything, right? Like you can take those skills anywhere you want and do with them anything you want. Um,
Definitely.
but so you mostly see the skills you learn in debate and the just the education you get in debate as sort of the end goal of the activity.
I think the end goal varies because personally, I do not see myself going into political science. I know that that's what a lot of people do, but I'm more of like the STEM, econ kind of person. So for me, a lot of the benefit has come from just exposing myself to the real world instead of just learning, like, oh, you learned calculus, you learned multivariable calculus, and you're like, why? So when you actually see them being used in the world, maybe not MVC, but when you actually see the concepts in STEM in the world, then for me, that's actually why I decided to start pursuing economics. If I didn't do debate, I probably would just, I would be in a different high school right now. I would have a different
Hmm.
perspective major. It was definitely debate that pivoted myself, not complete 360 or
to
180, but
to economics.
yeah, so it's like a mixture of econ finance. I haven't exactly figured that out, but at least I know that I was more on the track to do hardcore STEM along with the rest of my family too. But I'm that one black sheep who is not doing IT right now. So yeah.
Can you tell me about your family? I imagine your parents are as impressive as your coach.
My parents, I think I really couldn't have done any of this without my parents. They're both immigrants. They both came around their 20s and they continued to study in the United States and different majors too. But right now they ended up doing computer science. So, yes, I think, well, to me, as the daughter who just looks up to them on a podium, I think that they are just as impressive and like my number one role models in life. And I think part of it just doesn't come from like the idea of what you can put on a resume because like I know that they have decades of experience by now with many different concepts, but for me it's just like showing the amount to which people are willing to help others even if it's family. Just it is absolutely astonishing to me and it has really showed me a lot to be able to open myself to help others as well. And then my brother, he I also look up to him a lot, but he's strictly computer science. So he and I have some in common, but not a lot in common. He did debate in high school as well, but a different circuit. So yeah, I also look up to him a lot. He went to UC Berkeley and recently graduated. So he came back home during quarantine. Very happy about that. Right now, he left for a week to LA, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, I think my family is maybe the most important group of people that I've ever met in my life. Actually, definitely the most important group of people. So I couldn't have done any of this without them.
Yeah, I have one more sort of like philosophical question that might probably does tie into your family a lot. I guess so. It seemed, thinking about your hobbies and this recent big win, and the fact that you're interested in a lot of things, but also very successful in a lot of things, right? You're not like casually interested, like you watch YouTube videos and a lot of things. Like you really do a lot of things, and you're very successful in them. What is it that you think makes you successful in like such a large domain? So like obvious such a large number of domains, obviously just like intelligence could be one of them. I don't know if your family, and how you're raised could be a big part of it. Is being also from an immigrant family, like, part of the what you see as brought you success, or like what do you think what do you think this is, like what makes you you?
I think it's once again a mixture of a lot of things. It really can't be just one, and I'm flattered that you think I'm good at many aspects, but
Am I
I think
wrong?
it depends on how you define good. I would still
That
say
means
debate.
yes.
No, debate is still hold on. Debate is
That
still my
means
number
yes.
one. Thank
Hmm.
you though. So part of it, when it comes to how I was raised, I think, well, they did gear me towards a lot of academic things when I was younger, but the emphasis wasn't just be good at what you want or like at what you do. And that's been the way since I was very little. there has been pressure, I won't lie, because well, parents, they want you to grow. So it's not like the kind of pressure where it's entirely hands off or entirely hands on, but rather just the idea that they're the guiding hand and you don't want to disappoint them. But I think from their perspective, and I didn't see it myself a lot as a child, but I actually reflected and I saw that it was just my warped perception and my teenager phase, just like, get off my life or stuff. But when I reflected on it, I realized that actually they did give me a lot of choice. They introduced me to a lot of these different topics. Like they were the ones, like I said, that showed me debate. And I did piano since I was 4. So when I was 4, I definitely did not have the brain to go, hi, I want to go tinker on like this percussive instrument. So I didn't think about that. But they didn't ever get mad at me if I wanted to say that something wasn't truly what I liked doing, which is like, for instance, I really like piano, but I don't like competitive piano very much, and I still do the competitions, but now I've toned down on the amount of practice. In middle school, I did hours and hours every week, and my parents are entirely fine with it. If anything, like they saw that I now use my love for music to write my own songs, and I think they might be even happier by that. So there are some aspects of how I've been raised, like I don't want to disappoint them, but it's not like any fault of theirs, like where they were like, you cannot disappoint us. As for my brother, I think, well, he doesn't really pressure me in any way whatsoever. He used to pay me to leave his bedroom when I was really young, and I think that the first time that he decided to do that was a mistake because it built a reliance. But besides that, he's just like my, person at the side. He's helping me, encouraging me, and he also gives me advice more centered around like life advice because he's a millennial, unlike my parents. But he can't really give me as much on the exact activities I do.
Really, your parents and your family seem like really, really amazing people. It's really, really cool. All right, that's all I have. Any final things you'd like to tell the debate community?
Yeah, I would say stick to it because Jen and I have had our tournaments that are rough. We've had the moments where we ended up crying a lot. Jen and I do that thing where one person cries and then that causes the other person to cry. So if one person recovers, then the other one is still crying and then it won't ever cease. But we ended up fixing that towards the end. And if you stick to it and stay true to yourself, then you will be able to succeed. And the definition of success isn't just winning a tournament, because for me, I'd say my biggest success in debate is becoming an outspoken person in the sense that I can communicate with people in an informed way, and I can also just find a passion for what I'm doing and like research topics, learn a lot of new things. So yeah, everything might not click at first, but if you think that there is potential with debate, then I would say stick with it. It'll be one of the most important things you ever do in your life.
Cool. I think we have enough material for about 100 motivational quote t-shirts.
Oh my gosh.
Unless we're gonna start printing them out the Carina
Yeah,
line.
like, I also bullet journal and I put quotes in every month, so maybe this is where this is coming from. I promise I'm not
cool.
regurgitating them. I could. I have many that I could regurgitate, like on command, but...
No, it's cool. I feel just like relaxed with all, you're so encouraging. It's truly really cool.
Yeah. Well, did you think I was just gonna be like, yes, you must grind 9 hours a day or you will never reach Nat's finals?
Kind of. Yeah,
No.
kind of. That's a little bit what I expected.
I'm still a normal 17-year-old girl.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Super, super nice to meet you.
You too.